Yes, we're getting a little bit far ahead of ourselves, but Franklin Graham finds you refreshing. He doesn't find me refreshing. Richard Spencer, the white nationalist leader, says he could vote for you.
Joy, this is why...
I mean, you're on Tucker Carlson at least 10 times. Why don't you go on this show?
This is why I'm here, because you and other people continue to spread these innuendos that have nothing to do with who I am.
Well, Hillary Clinton started it, and then you shot back at her, boy. You called her the queen of warmongers.
You doubled down, unfortunately, you doubled down on the baseless accusations that she made that strikes at the core of who I am. I'm a soldier. Because of the attacks on 9/11, I enlisted in the military to go after and defeat and destroy the evil that visited us on that day. I've served now for over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East during the height of the war, where every single day I saw firsthand the terribly high human cost.
Tulsi Gabbard walked onto The View with such powerful energy that it shocked the entire studio into complete silence. From her very first sentence, the atmosphere became filled with tension, and Joy Behar had absolutely no idea she was walking straight into a situation she couldn't handle. It began with Joy showing her typical confident smile and throwing one of her usual sharp comments. But this particular time, she went way too far over the boundary. Her weak insults and unstable arguments seemed desperate. A final attempt to trap Tulsi. What happened next was absolutely explosive. Tulsi, staying calm but powerful, looked directly at Joy and dropped a shocking statement, calling her a fool right there on live television. The moment was so surprising that the audience gasped out loud as Joy's face turned bright red with embarrassment.
I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
Tulsi didn't give Joy even 1 second to recover from that. Her eyes remained focused, her voice cutting through the space like a sharp blade. "You believe you can attack me, and I'll just grin for the cameras?" She shot back, each sentence landing like a strong hit. "I confronted enemies in other countries who were more truthful than this." The audience broke into shocked whispers as Joy attempted to dismiss it with a fake laugh. But the nervous look she gave the other hosts revealed the actual story. The pressure was so intense that even the camera crew appeared frozen in their spots. The co-hosts looked at each other uncomfortably, uncertain whether to step in or remain quiet, while Tulsi continued forward with accuracy, calm, purposeful, and with every statement hitting stronger than the previous one.
Let me just close this out, that Hillary Clinton, throughout her career, has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that.
Well, you've created a career destroying anyone you disagree with, Tulsi fired, pointing straight at Joy with firm determination. But today, you chose the wrong target. Gasps and clapping moved through the audience, giving Tulsi more energy as Joy struggled to reply, and only to get interrupted immediately. "No, you've spoken your piece. Now you're going to hear me out." The authority in her tone stopped Joy completely, her self-assurance breaking under the weight. Tulsi's eyes became narrow as she delivered another powerful statement. "You label yourself a truth speaker, but all you've accomplished here is share falsehoods and personal insults." Her controlled anger gave each word devastating power, the type that remains in people's thoughts long after the situation ends. The atmosphere in the studio became heavier, everyone understanding they were watching a confrontation designed to blow up across social platforms. Tulsi maintained her position with the confidence of a soldier who had experienced tougher situations. And when Whoopi attempted to twist it by claiming she was being defensive, it failed immediately.
So, before I answer the first question, what's happening with the telescope and the stuff?
Oh gosh, the challenge is ongoing. The challenge is ongoing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that?
So,
To explain.
They decided, it was decided that they were going to go on sacred land.
Oh, yeah.
And put up a telescope and do all this stuff. And the Hawaiians said, no, you're not going to do that. So it's been a fight. Tulsa's been at the forefront. And I try to bring it up, you know,
I remember.
when I can, because I think sacred land is sacred land.
Yeah.
You can't, you know,
Yeah.
you can't.
Anyway.
So I have to ask you this, because I did it. So we were just talking about EU Ambassador Sondland changing his testimony yesterday, that he had to be refreshed about quid pro quo, and you've been skeptical more than a lot of the Democrats about the impeachment inquiry. Were you surprised by what he did yesterday?
Well, look, the facts are important, and we'll get to that. I want to start with something that I think is also important about facts.
If you're loving this confrontation, press that subscribe button. Tulsi responded without hesitation. No, I'm not being defensive. I'm fixing your mistakes because you're incorrect and you realize it. The audience went wild, some clapping loudly, a few even getting up from their seats in support. Joy's cheeks became an even deeper shade of red, though she pushed a stiff grin as if nothing was wrong. The other hosts moved uncomfortably, their eyes looking toward the cameras with obvious worry. But nobody dared to stop her. Tulsi leaned backward slightly, her calm manner unchanged, yet her voice remained extremely sharp. You brought me here to have a conversation, yet all you've accomplished is insult me. Is that what you consider journalism? Her voice was filled with sarcasm, causing bursts of laughter from sections of the audience.
It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned.
But you called her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman
in such
too.
a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform.
Getting more desperate, Joy fumbled through her notes, acting like she was looking for an exit strategy. But Tulsi wouldn't allow the moment to disappear. This isn't about me having different views from you, she stated strongly. It's about you sharing false information to millions of people watching on purpose. The impact of her claim hit down like a heavy tool. The quietness in the studio, so heavy it was nearly choking. Joy stuttered weakly, her voice shaking. Well, that's just my view on things. But Tulsi interrupted instantly, her tone sharp like metal. No, Joy, that's not a viewpoint. That's a falsehood, and there's a distinction. The audience gasped, followed by a powerful wave of clapping that filled the room. For the first time, Joy appeared trapped, her usual confidence turning into nervousness. In that second, Tulsi took complete control, destroying Joy's argument in front of a live audience that would never forget what they had just seen.
Why I ran for Congress.
We actually have the clip of Hillary Clinton. Just to put this in context of what we're talking about, let's take a look at that.
I'm not making any predictions, but I think they've got their eye on somebody who's currently in the Democratic primary and are grooming her to be the third-party candidate. She's a favorite of the Russians. They have a bunch of, sites and bots and other ways of supporting her so far. And that's assuming Jill Stein will give it up, which she might not, because she's also a Russian asset.
So
Really? I mean, this is outrageous. This is outrageous and offensive on so many levels. I've served as a member of Congress now for almost 7 years, receiving high-level national security and intelligence briefings, serving on the Foreign Affairs Committee, the Armed Services Committee, the Homeland Security Committee, working to ensure the safety and security of the people of this country. This is why I'm running for president, to continue that commitment of service.
So are you surprised, though, that when people see bots and things and all the things that we've sort of been seeing heading you away, that people have these questions? Because she's not the only one. Hillary, I don't think, is the only one. So what she's saying is she feels they are grooming you. You're saying nobody's grooming me. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm a soldier and a patriot.
It's offensive to me as a soldier, as an American, as a member of Congress, as a veteran, and frankly, as a woman, to be so demeaned in
But you
such
called
a way.
her the personification of rock.
So demeaned
She's a woman
in such
too.
a way. Well, I'm pointing to the fact that she has continued this legacy of being the world's police around the world, that has waged wars costing the lives of thousands of my brothers and sisters in uniform. I'm speaking out against that.
What's your evidence of that?
Change.
Well, can I?
Are you serious? Are you serious?
Let's hear it.
I served in the war
Not
in
you,
Iraq.
her. You're saying that she's
Exactly.
She's a
I
warmonger.
served
How do you
in the war
come up
in
with
Iraq?
Yeah.
That she championed. She championed a regime change
Did
war
you not
in
believe
Libya.
in that war?
I believe the lies that were told to us.
Well, so did she.
So it is indisputable. It is indisputable.
Joy's hold on her cue cards became tighter, as if holding them could somehow bring back her falling control. She looked desperately at the camera, attempting to calm herself, but Tulsi never wavered. Her stare stayed locked and firm. "You've created your platform on targeting people like me," Tulsi stated. Her voice relaxed yet filled with strength. "But here's the reality, Joy. You can't intimidate someone who's battled on actual war zones." The audience shouted in agreement, the feeling in the room moving sharply in Tulsi's direction. Joy tried to smirk, but it failed under Tulsi's intense look. "I'm simply asking questions," Joy mumbled, but Tulsi responded immediately. "No, you're making claims, and you're doing it to destroy my reputation because you can't succeed with evidence." The studio buzzed with energy as every word from Tulsi hit like a precise attack. "You even labeled me an idiot," she went on, leaning in just enough to shake Joy more. "Yet here you are, dismissing my background, my military service, my knowledge, simply because it doesn't match your story." Joy released a strained laugh, throwing desperate looks toward her co-hosts for help. But none attempted to intervene. Nobody wanted to become next in Tulsi's focus. "I've served my nation for years," Tulsi continued, her tone stable and firm. "I've been in combat zones. I've witnessed lives destroyed, and I will not sit here and be disrespected by someone who's never experienced a single moment in my position." The audience exploded, some even rising in applause as Joy's face collapsed into surprise and irritation. She appeared stuck, cornered in a fight she couldn't possibly succeed in. One co-host attempted to guide the show back on subject, but Tulsi interrupted before the energy could fade away.
To say anything other than the fact.
Well,
That Hillary, let me just close this out, that Hillary Clinton throughout her career has led with a foreign policy of interventionism and being the world's police, going and toppling dictators in other countries that has caused such destruction and loss of life. I'm against that. I'm running for president to change that. Rather than actually debate me on the issues, she and others are resorting to these smear tactic campaigns, seeking to undermine me, smear my character, and sending a message to anyone who dissents: stand, toe the line, or you too will be smeared.
"We're not continuing until this is settled," Tulsi announced, her tone strong and unwavering. "You don't get to share lies and then escape behind a grin." Joy, clearly shaken, attempted to respond with, "Well, Tulsi, maybe a few." But she was stopped right away. "No, Joy, enough. You've spoken already. Now you're going to pay attention." The command in her voice froze the space as the audience exploded once more, while even the filming crew paused, uncertain whether to switch to advertisements or allow the conflict to keep going. Tulsi moved forward, her voice stable and pointed. "You blame me without any proof and then act like you're just asking questions. That isn't reporting. That's trickery." The audience gasped, then started clapping, making it obvious they supported her. Joy's shoulders dropped slightly, the battle slipping from her control as Tulsi leaned in with precision. "Here's the reality. You insult me. You assault my character. But the fact is, you're scared of me. Scared of someone who won't follow your playbook." Joy remained silent, and that quietness spoke more powerfully than any response she could have given. The crushing pressure gripped not only the studio, but every person watching from their homes. Then Tulsi gave the statement that would control headlines for many days. "So here's my suggestion, Joy. If you don't want to be challenged, stop humiliating yourself on national TV." The audience exploded, some yelling loudly, others gasping at the direct force of it all. While Joy's expression changed from surprise to frustration, she opened her mouth, then shut it again, her eyes searching desperately toward the producers for a way out that wasn't available. Tulsi leaned back calmly, her stare fixed as Joy sat trapped with no response ready.
I want to ask you something else. Kamala Harris said recently that her race and gender are, quote, the elephant in the room, and that many still question if America is ready for a woman, and specifically a woman of color, to be president. And you're also a woman of color.
Yeah.
Is that, you feel, been a problem for you? Do you agree with her?
No, I think the American people are ready for a president that will put people ahead of politics, put people ahead of profit.
So why are you saying that?
You have to ask Kamala that. I can't speak to why she's saying that. But what I've seen in our travels across New Hampshire, we just came from New Hampshire yesterday, across the early states, we have some New Hampshire people here, is we are building a coalition to bring about the systemic change we need to see to take our government back from the rich and powerful who control it and make it so our government is truly of, by, and for the people.
Twist it however you like, Tulsi announced, her voice steady and powerful. But the people viewing know exactly what took place here today. The studio broke into loud applause, the kind that filled the room, and made it clear whose side the audience had picked. Tulsi hadn't just protected herself. She turned the entire conversation upside down, leaving Joy shaken and beaten. Producers finally switched to commercial break, but the harm was already complete. Social media went crazy instantly, videos spreading like wildfire. The battle destined to exist online forever. When the cameras came back, Joy attempted to act unaffected, but her voice had changed, softer, controlled, almost careful. Tulsi, in comparison, sat relaxed and sure, the clear winner of the confrontation. It was genuine, unplanned television at its best, impossible to look away from. Joy had thought she'd put Tulsi on the defensive, but instead she got destroyed on her own platform. The pressure remained like a dark cloud, sensed by the co-hosts, the audience, and especially by Joy herself, whose normal confidence had melted into discomfort. Tulsi leaned back with a small smile, fully knowing she had dominated the entire stage. Joy attempted to move the discussion towards something easier, but the audience wasn't accepting it. They were still excited, talking, responding to Tulsi's bold confrontation. One co-host tried to lighten the mood with jokes, but Tulsi's steady stare at Joy kept the feeling tense. Finally, Joy said quietly, "I think we just had a confusion," but Tulsi ended it immediately. "No, Joy, we had a very obvious understanding. You attacked me with false claims, and I replied with the facts." The audience roared again, clapping and cheering, refusing to allow Joy to hide it away. Pushing a tight, uncomfortable smile, Joy held onto what little respect she had remaining. But Tulsi leaned in, calm and determined. "You can insult me with whatever word you want, Joy, but the next time you attempt to damage someone, make certain you have the evidence first, because not everyone will sit here and accept it." The words landed like a finishing blow, freezing the room in shocked quietness. Joy opened her mouth to answer, then paused, loss written all over her expression. Tulsi had succeeded, and everyone understood it.
Because recently on your show here,
I was going to get to that.
good, helping you out.
You want me to ask you?
Yeah. No, look, some of you have accused me of being a traitor to my country, a Russian asset, Trojan horse, or a
We haven't accused you.
a useful idiot, I think was the term that you
useful.
used. Which basically means that I'm naive or lack intelligence
Russian
to know
term.
what's going
They
on.
use that.
I want to let your viewers know exactly who I am.
All right.
Set the record straight. I am a patriot. I love our country. I am a strong and intelligent woman of color, and I have dedicated almost my entire adult life to protecting the safety, security, and the freedom of all Americans in this country. It was the attacks on 9/11.
By the time Tulsi left the set, social media was already exploding. Videos of her challenging Joy and demanding responsibility spread like crazy. Hashtags were trending before the show had even finished. Political experts jumped in. Fans praised Tulsi's brave position, and people who disliked the view celebrated it as one of the most brutal confrontations in daytime TV history. Joy, meanwhile, remained quiet the rest of that day, carefully staying away from any reply. But her quietness only added more fuel to the fire, sending the video into overdrive. Tulsi welcomed the moment, later sharing a brief message thanking people for their support and reminding them that defending truth isn't always easy, but it's always important. Her message connected with people, collecting thousands of shares and comments, strengthening her reputation as someone willing to face even the most difficult stages without fear. In the end, Tulsi didn't just survive her visit on The View. She owned it, controlled it, and left an impact neither Joy Behar nor the show itself could forget anytime soon. This wasn't just another on-air argument. It turned into a national lesson that even on tightly controlled platforms, truth can cut straight through. And when it happens, it's impossible to forget. For Joy, the pain of that moment would stay with her. A constant memory every time she sat in that chair that one guest had challenged her without fear, without apologizing, and without giving up.